Welcome back to the summer split of GPL 2014. My name is Chris, joined by Jay Storm once again as we are going to bring you game number 2 of tonight's matchup.
Well, Summoners, the first game was between Saigon Fantastic 5 and Neolution Foolish, and my goodness, what a back and forth game between the two. And now it's a rondo as Neolution Foolish will be making a repeat performance, perhaps once more with feeling, as they will be facing up against Insidious Gaming Rebirth, one of the newcomers to the Garenia Premier League in the second game of the night.
I think that, for them, they don't want to make it a repeat performance, because if that's the case, which means that they are going to go home with a 0-2 defeat. But I'm sure that they will try as hard as they can to make sure that they secure the next victory for tonight. And like you mentioned earlier, it is against one of the newcomers in the Garenia Premier League, and for them, it is going to be the second team, the sister team for Insidious Gaming, ISG Rebirth. So why don't you give the viewers a quick introduction of what the team is about for viewers who might not be that sure.
Well, actually, we have got some videos for you right now so that you can hear more of our voices as you watch the highlight reels for Insidious Gaming Rebirth as well as Neolution Foolish.
Vào tranh tổng đến từ bên phía Fullwith, bây giờ thì lao vào
không cướp được, đó là kinh nghiệm của anh ta, tức biến ngược lên bên kia thì rắc chết rồi. Ten Tây gặp nguy hiểm, Ten Tây về dạng nội tại nhưng Ten Tây lướt đi nhưng cũng phải chết dưới những sát thương của Z mà thôi. Thanh trừng tung ra, Baby là người chết kế tiếp theo. 4 người lên bảng rồi, Kai chắc chắn là cũng không thể nào chạy được, và đó là tròn vo 5 người. Quadra kill dành cho vị trí của Z.
Đẩy rất nhanh nhưng cái dây nối được 4 thành viên và Shyvana trong tay của Sin bay ra. Họ bấu lại được Akiho, kiệt sức lên người của Lisna. Lisna mất tốc biến này, ta con hồi máu. Anh đã bị trói lại bởi quả bóng tối ở Violet làm đúc. Vị trí của Rai, Sọp có thể gặp nguy hiểm, Shady vòng ra phía sau lưng. Sọp biết điều này, anh ta đang rất bình tĩnh ở lại đây. Ở khu vực đường trên thì kèo đấu đã chiến thắng dành cho Rai rồi. Đang là những pha sử dụng đến kỹ năng E của mình, đang lướt đi và chặn tường gió, né rất khéo. Và 10 thành viên của hai đội đã tập trung ở đây rất nhanh. Có cái gì đấy nó không đúng ở đây. Tại sao Sin ta lại giàu như vậy? Và anh ta đang lao vào và tạo tiền đề cho chiêu cuối của Yasuo. 2 mạng dành cho Rai. Họ vẫn tiếp tục đuổi theo. Và đây cũng là một kết hợp rất tuyệt vời đến từ chiêu cuối của Shyvana. Lee Sin đá xuống, người đang mất rất nhiều máu là Vi, mất đi nguồn trừng phạt rồi. Nhưng bên phía đội tuyển Fullwith không còn ai dồn sát thương vào Baron nữa. Sin bị giữ lại, Sin bị làm choáng, nhưng bắn rất tốt là Z. Sin không bị tiêu diệt, Yasuo quét sạch và đó là một pha thi đấu mà sự hồi sinh.
Now the IGR redemption spot will be able to chase Baron Flashes forward, and will be fighting super back out of Valkyrie. A very strong response coming in from Valkyrie. Now Valkyrie is legit. He finds that one more shot, Flashes forward. I guess that was that we said. Now he finds the shots as well with the gang center, and Nofujuice will be the next target in this situation. Now Valkyrie will be able to chase slow misses from Birdie.
pick up that one as Equivocal gets down to spike. Vera gets unstoppable force. So many people gonna go down. Valkyrie should be the next one to go down. BBTY on the back line. Zap. One more auto attack gets it. Vera will pick up the kill onto that one. Don't know if he wants me to pronounce it as Vestrella or not, but nevertheless, it's gonna be so many kills all around. Wazier with that double buff will be happy to duel out BBTY and his finalings. BBTY pounds the barrel. Wazier flashes away from that one. They're dancing back and forth. The volatile finaling will not be able to find him. BBTY along the side gets the shot in from that one, and we will see the heal coming up from Tree. The flash and the go-kart. Will it land? Ready, and Valkyrie has been sitting on that blood system for extremely long. 4-0 and 3 on his Jake now.
So never mind that. You can have the ray buff. I'll just pick it up from you later, says LI4. As he kind of misses the last hit on the ray buff. Instead,
oh my goodness! The flash and blade surge! Wow, God!
And once again, it's back to the casting table with J-Storm and Chris. I hope you guys enjoyed the highlight reel. I definitely did, watching some of the Singaporean teams play against each other, but it looks like there has been a little bit of problems in the matchmaking lobby, so there will be a little bit more of a delay going on here.
Yeah, so you know, with that little bit of extra time that we have now, I think it's only appropriate that we introduce to the GPL viewers, especially some of the new viewers that are joining us for the first time for this split. What is ISG Rebirth all about? Why don't you run us through this, J-Storm? Because I know for a fact that you have been, you know, casting the games a fair bit more in the Legend circuit, which is also a promotional tournament for the Singapore-Malaysian circuit.
Well, Insidious Gaming Rebirth, they are a very mechanically strong team in the current scene. They have got two very strong players in the front of Valkyrie. He's a very solid AD carry as well as LI4 in the top lane. Recently, they swapped out the mid laner Dream for Filda. He's kind of a walkout in this case. The only time we have seen him play was in the TLC finals in their 3-2 loss against their sister team Legends in that case. But nonetheless, I have to say that Filda, the way that he has been playing, he's got some areas to polish up. And if the way that he controls his champion, if he works on certain decision-making aspects, he will definitely work and gel very well together with the rest of the team.
Yeah, and for Floda himself, previously he was known as Clincher. He was on LI4's old team in, I believe it is Team Infinity, back in the very first split of the Legend Circuit, the first promotional tournament ever as well. And back then he was pretty known for his assassination picks, for his assassin picks such as Fizz, LeBlanc, and Zed as well. So he was pretty much playing assassins before everyone else was playing it, and he did make a lot of plays happen. But right now, the meta is really shifting away from assassins, and just like you mentioned, he is kind of like a wildcard. His potential has not yet been proven yet, but right now they are playing against the big boys on the regional stage. So I think this is the place where he can start to shine and then start to polish up his skills. And you know, you mentioned some of the players already. I think the other player that we have yet to mention is Vera as well. He previously was playing for Insidious Gaming main team. So right now they have swapped him over. He is now playing on the support role for ISG Rebirth, replacing Birdie in that role. And if I'm not wrong, he was the guy who sort of taught Valkyrie his ways as well. So he definitely know how to handle the bottom lane very well. And if you are a fervent follower of the Singapore Malaysian scene, he kind of made a lot of plays happen in the grand finals of the Legend circuit as well. So I can only expect very good performances from him and overall from the bottom lane.
So let's do a little bit of a 1-for-1, one champion for each player. In the top lane, LY4, Aurelia will be the champion I want to talk about because that has been kind of his breakout performance in the Legend circuit. He played Aurelia, and I believe in the series against Kuala Lumpur Hunters, he didn't die a single time every time he had a champion. And the second, and then moving on to the jungle will be Elise or... Fine, I'm going to go with Elise for Waitia. you saw the highlight reel earlier, and Weitia's ability to control and micromanage the abilities of EDs are extremely potent, and he makes the high impact that such high impact junglers need to make. And in the mid lane, this is the wildcard we are talking about, Floda. He was very good on Assassins previously, but we saw him play a lot of Syndra within the Legend Circuit finals, and he even defaulted to that in a blind pick scenario.
Yeah, and I really agree with the Lee's pick as well for Weitia, and of course he is the jungler to replace Unicorn in the mid stages when they were playing as a team as well. So let's see if he can really step it up and play in the regional stage. And for Folder as well, going with the Syndra, but he can still play the LeBlanc because LeBlanc is still a very relevant pick in the current meta right now. And I think for Vera as well as Valkyrie, they can play a lot of champion pools. So I cannot really pinpoint to any single champion pool, so we will have to wait in game in order to find out.
Okay, so considering my 1-for-1, we will have Jinx for Valkyrie. Jinx
Okay, yeah, okay,
it's a
fine.
very stable AD carry for Valkyrie. He doesn't really like Caitlyn too much. In cases that Rebirth decides to go for siege compositions, we will usually see him to go for the hyper-scaling Jinx in those situations. And as for Vera, the champion of choice will be Sarah to be looking out for. Although he was more well known for his trash in the early stages of the Legend Circuit, his breakout performance of the Sarah within the finals was simply amazing. He seems to know exactly where and when to place down the ultimate, as well as when to drop the Strangletons as well to gain the advantages within team fights as well as the laning phase.
Yeah, and funny that you mentioned the Jinx as well, because I was looking over at some of the records over that you kind of provided me with as well, because in the 33 games that they have played in the Legend Circuit in the qualifiers, for the Singapore and Malaysia promotional tournament, he has played a total of 9 Jinx games, and that's not inclusive of the finals as well. So he is definitely very, very comfortable on that champion, and I would love to see him bust out some moves from Fishbones and Pawpaw, of course. And for Vera, just like you mentioned, you know, previously very known for Thresh, and now transiting over to something of a very different style, like Zyra, with much success as well. So we'll have to let the results speak for itself. But, you know, we have talked a lot about Rebirth. What do you feel for NFL? You know, they have gone up against SF5. They had very nice early game. I would say the word is nice and probably not the best, but, you know, they had some very good showings in the early game. But what do you think that they have to do now to try to come back in this one? Because you don't want to be dropping 2 games in a row. It's somewhat of a very demoralizing feel if you think about it.
Well, I have to say, Fu Lewis in that game, they got a hit because Saigon SF5, they got way too aggressive when they shouldn't have been, and they managed to punish them out. However, once again, the true style of Fu Lewis, high risk, high reward, and sometimes it just doesn't really pay off. And they've kind of have a very bad reputation for throwing games, as we saw them do the previous game. And if they want to come out victorious in this game, they need to make in their true flavor of the style. They are going to continue making those high risk, high reward plays, but they need to know when to cut losses and quit when they are hit.
Yeah, so I'm looking at NFL right now in this pick and ban phase. SOFM has kind of swapped positions with Shin. You know, the players have to enter the lobby in terms of their roles here. So we might actually see a very decisive role swap in the second game of the GPL for NFL over here. But in the meanwhile, let's look at some of the bans that has happened. And NFL
it's not just SOFM Shin. Starfall, who was playing top lane previously, is now in the jungle.
Oh yeah, right.
Shin is now the mid laner, and SOFM is in the top lane.
My apologies, because previously I was very used to just seeing Sheena in the top lane and SOFM in the jungle. So a little bit of swap over there for Neolution Fulu. So let's see how that's going to pan out. But for the bans coming in, Kassadin taken away from Neolution Fulu. So a very weird one indeed, because usually it is going to be the red team that takes out the Kassadin. So, you know, some respects going over to Floater and his assassinations. So taking out the Kassadin, Morgana definitely one to take away from Vera, and then Ryze as well, probably targeted as a general ban. And then Yasuo, LeBlanc, and Nidalee being taken away from ISG Rebirth over here, very mid-lane centric bans.
So Kha'Zix will be the first lock-in coming from NFL, and let's not forget that this is the 4.8 patch, so change is still good in this patch. The Kha'Zix nerf have not really come in just yet. Yasuo, LeBlanc, and Nidalee being banned out for Insidious Gaming Rebirth. 3 mid-lane bans coming in. I'm not really sure if they're trying to target a one player, or if they just feel that Flota isn't really too used to playing with the team. So let's help him out here by banning out the matchups that he doesn't feel that comfortable against.
Yep, and Rebirth might just default back to something that they are very comfortable with playing. When if they lock in their Thresh and Lucian, very safe picks for themselves, and definitely champions that are very comfortable for the players over at the side of ISG Rebirth. And on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, the mid laner for ISG Rebirth, just to introduce you to how some of the players might look like, and one of the few fortunate teams to have their face featured actually, because over for everyone else it's going to be online play, and for them it's going to be offline. So
It's back to us.
yeah, it's back to us. So our faces might not be the best as compared to some of the players, but you get what you get. So we are continuing with the pick and ban phase. NFL taking their time to choose and to pick what they want to face off against Rebirth, because if you think about it, Rebirth has not given a whole bunch of game plan away. So NFL has to be very, very careful. I got a little confused there because it's the SF5 logo instead of the NFL one. So let's see what's the story here.
Well, nonetheless, Trash and Lucian, you usually see these two champions being picked alongside big composition, but Fulus, they are hovering over Cannon and Annie. I doubt they will be locking those two in, and looks like they will be going for Lulu instead. I'm a little bit surprised that the Insidious Gaming team did not go for the Lulu as one of their first few picks, because the way that they have been prioritizing that pick in the previous few series that they have been playing has been very high up the priority charts. Because Lulu can not only go into the mid lane, top lane, she can also play as a support champion as well.
Yep, and so right now with the mid lane card being filled up for Neolution Followers, Rebirth has only a majority of the world to sort of choose out their counter picks as well. So I think it's a very smart choice for them to go with the Syndra and Lee Sin, just because of the fact that, like what you mentioned, Fuller is extremely comfortable with that Syndra pick, and then to lock in that Lee Sin as well, just a general strong pick in the jungle, and they will have the flexibility to play around and choose around for their top laner. So a very good pick and ban phase coming in from ISG Rebirth so far. But on the side of Neolution Followers, taking away the Lulu from ISG Rebirth is definitely a very big move. And if you look at it, it's not something that they have not played before, and of course having the Nami as well, which we have seen Violet perform on numerous occasions. So for NFL, they have some very neat picks for themselves. It's just a matter of whether they can execute those picks and make the games happen.
Oh, they're hovering over Vayne here, but the way that this team has been threatening so far, I think that they're just trolling us once again. But I have to point out though, the matchup for this game, because the role swaps that have come in, is going to be the star of NFL SOFM going up against one of the ex-Singapore Sentinels players now playing for Insidious Gaming Rebirth, LY4, another very strong top lane as well.
Yeah, so let's see what's going to be the final choices here. Kog'Maw is not necessarily a bad pick here. We have seen the resurgence of Kog'Maw with the very famous Genja Trinity Forest build as well. So he has the ability to kite for himself, and the Twisted Fate locked in as well. So it is very possible that it is going to be a top lane Lulu instead. And now we will see Twisted Fate in the mid lane now. So let's see what's going to be the response from ISG Rebirth. If they go ahead and choose the kill, it is going to be a very nice wrap-up to the composition. We have seen LY4 play that in the promotional tournaments for the Singapore and Malaysia circuit, and he knows how to play the champion as well. And indeed, it is going to be the kill locked in, so we have the composition wind up. And very interesting choice from both teams, because they are both running the double AP composition.
My only criticism of Insidious Gaming's Rebirth pick and ban phase was that I felt that Shyvana in this situation would be a lot better, simply because it will fit a lot more into the rest of the team's synergy. You've got Syndra to zone as well as create picks together with the Lee Sin as well. It will be really good to have the Shyvana to have a form of hard engage to get on to the back line of Neolution Foolish, of Twisted Fate as well as Kog'Maw if they end up with a siege composition. But now Insidious Gaming, it looks like they have gone for a scaling option, picking up Kill as the last pick in this situation. Kind of also is sort of their confidence as well. Actually, in fact, we will be seeing SOFM going into the mid lane, Shin in the jungle, and Starfall on the top lane, instead running teleport on their Lulu as well. So their role swap isn't really going to be happening this game.
Yeah, that's right, and we will be heading into game very shortly after this one. But for ISG Rebirth, they definitely want to prove that they are made of substance, as this is going to be their very first game on the regional stage. And we have seen some of the new players come into play here. AHQ Fighters unfortunately did not make the mark, and they did not manage to take out Taipei Assassins in the very first game that they played.
That's so unfair. You're playing against the previous recurring champions, and it's like, maybe this newcomer can take a game off them. Not everybody can pull a Cloud9 or Rocket or
Well, fair.
I don't even think Rocket beat Fnatic when they had a very
Fair
hot streak
enough, fair
at the
enough.
start of
But
ELCS.
what I'm saying here is that your very first game in the regional scene is pretty much going to determine a huge chunk of the impression that some of the viewers might see it. But that's a very fair argument though. But I think the other team as well, which is Machi Esports, they did not manage to beat out AHQ Esports Cup. So let's see if Rebirth can break the curse and bring one in for the new school comers as they face off against Neolution Full Lewis, who is going to start things off in the blue side, and then they are on the red side, of course.
With the Lion Duns Cockmoskin on the blue side, and now we are looking at Insidious Gaming Rebirth on the red side. Here's a shout out to our audience at the Gurnia Stadium. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, that's right. So let's get into game up here, and I think that's going to be a 5-man clump out from ISG Rebirth here, if I'm not wrong. And we did see over for the Legend Circuit, the Singapore Malaysian promotional tournament as well, is that Rebirth is a team that has adapted to the 2v0 meta changes, so they should be able to face up against that if NFL chooses to pull that off. So let's see what's going to be the level 1 decisions over here, because I think that that's going to make a big impact on the next 10 minutes or so.
Okay, Insidious Gaming, they have got a few options in terms of early game shenanigans in this case. If they were to go for a lane swap or 2v0 in this situation, it could work on their favor if they take down the buff timers and then try to use those buff timers to create picks with the roaming power of Syndra and her ultimate together with Waitier's Lee Sin as well, as they are spotted by a ward coming from Neolution Full Lewis. But if they were to default to normal lanes, then a lot of pressure will be onto Waitier to make the lanes happen. Although Syndra's a lane bully in the mid lane, you want the kills from Lee Sin to come in to try and get the picks onto Twister Fate, as well as to make sure nothing too funny happens in the bottom lane. However, a lot of Waitier's focus will be on the top lane, as you have LI4, a major scaling carry, going up against a lane bully in the form of Lulu.
Yeah, and we don't get to see a lot of Lulu going up against Kill in the current meta so far, because what most teams prefer is to actually feel Kill in the mid lane when it's a much shorter lane, so that she can use the speed up from her W to get in and out of very dangerous situations. So LI4, given the fact that he is a very veteran player, he still has to watch out for the potential ganks that can come in from Shin, as well as from Starfall, because if you think about it, at level 6, there's going to be a huge amount of disruption that's going to come in and potentially result in a kill, and the intervention might not be enough just as of then.
So Waitier actually getting the Sonic Strike onto the wrong target, as we see Vera zoning Jeff out from this creep wave completely as they're trading damage back and forth. Looks like there Vera actually traded pretty evenly going up against the AD carrying the scenario.
Yeah, and the reason why he is happy with that trade is because he did start things off with the Doran Shield, and something that we haven't seen for a while now actually, because if you think about it, most of the supports now either opt to start with the Ruby Crystal or to start things off with the Force Queen, and they just want to get the extra bit of GP5 per se. But what this signals to me is that Vera just wants to go for very aggressive trades in lane and to secure that lane control. And surprisingly, these two teams, they are going for the normal setup over here. And, when we see that, it also tells me that these two teams kind of have the respect for each other. And also because of the fact that it might be Rebirth are very confident of their laners, that they can beat the laners straight out against NFL. That's why they chose to go for this setup. And let's see how things progress from here.
So instead of gaming Rebirth, they went for lane bullies in each chase and they defaulted to normal lanes, but we actually see Waitier. Now the question is a battle between Shin and Waitier to see who can make the difference in the lanes. If all things go normally with no successful ganks from either side of the jungle, things to go in the favor of Insidious Gaming Rebirth, because they are going for a very committed lane bullying strategy, with Trash even picking up a Doran Shield in the bottom lane, and Flora on the Syndra will be able to zone out the Twisted Fate very effectively, using her force of will to find the stuns if necessary if Waitier were to come in for the gank.
You know what I feel is the biggest threat over for Neolution Full Lewis is the fact that Gem has almost close to zero sort of disengage. Sure, you have some form of protection from Nami and from Lulu as well, but then again, if you look at it, there's a lot of single target pickoffs from the side of Rebirth. So, you can get Waitier, dive into the fray, kick him back into Rebirth, and then, make the kill from there. And then, of course, there's going to be the unleashed power from Flora as well. That's dealing a whole ton of damage on the side of Rebirth. So he has to be extremely careful on how he positions himself in the team fights.
And just look at the damage coming out from Valkyrie. A lot of people have touted him as the best AD carry in the Singapore, Malaysia region, and is showing why he deserves those chops as he out-trades Jeff completely in the bottom lane trade.
And I think what NFL really needs to exploit in this game here is for a fact that they have a very solid early game, because if you think back about the match against SF5, SF5 were the team to come in with a nice solid game plan, but NFL were unflustered and they knew how to revolve the fights from there and around the map rotations, and they were the ones that actually came out ahead in the early game. So if they can use that fact, use that aggression to turn that against Rebirth and not let them have any single edge at all, they could easily pick up the win here, because if you look at it, they are a very mobile team with Lulu speeding up, zipping around the map. And for TF as well, you can just use the Destinate Gate combo to move around the side lanes as well. And of course, for Kha'Zix, you can leap from camp to camp. And I think that's something that the viewers have been very used to seeing as well.
Definitely indeed. So when Twisted Fate does hit level 6, you actually want to see more pressure from Weitia being focused around the middle lane, and Shin will have to react accordingly as well, because if you do get a Twisted Fate lane, he won't be able to port into his own lane because he is already there to help anyone. So if you find a pick in that situation, the numbers are going to change as compared to finding a pick in one of the side lanes and having a Twisted Fate port in. That can really change plans and send things south really quickly, as we see the full Lewis players rapidly reconnecting and disconnecting.
Very unfortunate day for Neolution Fullers, as they have some form of technical issues over here, and I think this is the limitations of esports that we have seen pretty commonly all across the board. And I mean, it's something beyond their control per se, but you know, sometimes it just gets a little bit disruptive, especially for the teams who are very eager to, you know, get into the game. You know, they're hungering for some victory and some action over here in the game, and then this, you know, the screen just turns kind of me again. You know, you got something that's going on. So right now, it is going to be while this pause is happening, Rebirth is actually, you know, coming in this game with a bit of stake, because they are the team that wants to change, you know, they are the team that wants to prove themselves in order to show this statement in the Garena Premier League, as we get some information on what's going to be the decision. We might have to have some form of changes over here, as we are waiting for the final verdict. So hopefully we don't get too big of a disruption. I know for a fact that some players have some viewers have some very big issues as what happened yesterday, and we certainly hope that that doesn't happen again. So we'll cross our fingers and see.
So once again, we are back into the game, and now Valkyrie, Vera in the bottom lane going up against Jeff, and Violet playing Kog'Maw and Nami, and now we see actually being caught up by SOFM as he's doing his second buff. And SOFM gets a little bit of damage onto him, but that we shouldn't fluster Weitia too much as he returns to complete the buff camp.
Yeah, that's right. Very close moment for Weitia there, and a very early roam as well from SOFM.
Oh, the flame misses from Vera.
Yeah, and now SOFM is caught in a very, very bad position. Flona chooses to go in aggressive on that one, and that is exactly the lane dominance that we kind of expect from a Syndra in play here. So SOFM needs to step back a little bit and not get hit by those wrecking balls.
But right now, because SOFM moved in to check the position of Weitia, NFL, they have an idea of where the opponent's jungler is, but Insidious Gaming Rebirth at the moment, they have no idea where Shin is going to be, as Shin actually just recalled to pick up an additional longsword and pots for himself.
Oh, Vera actually taking a whole chunk of damage, and the bubble barely landing onto him as well. So far, it is actually Jeff and Violet laying down the hurt and aggression, but Jeff is now taken down to about half of his HP. So if Vera gets one good hook in, and maybe get one good lantern gank in, then, you know, NFL has to play much more safely. And I think this is the reason why we start to see the resurgence of Kog'Maw in the competitive scene, because right now you can pair it up with Nami, with a support with some sort of healing capabilities, and then you should be able to stay safe. And with the changes coming in from Kog'Maw as well, you have a much better time harassing down your opposing AD carry.
Oh, actually Vera goes in for an engagement. He misses the hook, and the flay is not good. And now Jeff and Violet are on the change. The kill is forced to report. Valkyrie now taking lots of damage as Jeff and Violet turn onto him. It felt there was a little bit of miscommunication between the AD carry and support between Valkyrie and Vera, or the both of them very mechanically skilled players, this shows that the recent roster swap isn't really working too well in Rebirth's favor.
Yeah, I have to agree on that one. Whenever we see this little miscommunications like that, it's primarily because of the fact that the teams are not very used to some of this roster and player changes over here. And if you look at NFL, sure, they do have some role swaps, but essentially the members are the same. So they don't have the the issue of trying to re-establish the team chemistry again. And I think that is causing ISG Rebirth's early game right at the start here.
So RF4 actually spotted out Shin trying to go in for a sneaky gank over there as Shin decides to back off as he calls Wei up to the top lane to try to go for a possible counter gank, but nonetheless Shin decides that it's too risky considering that his opponent is the least in this case and will be backing away from that gank. So far still 0-0. This game is a little bit slower as compared to the previous one that we saw.
I don't actually blame the fact that there's a pretty slow game over here because there's very low kill potential as well, but
so
now
FM.
LI4 might be caught out.
He comes and lands the go card, there goes the wild cards. LI4 dropped about half health now. SOFM start forward chasing. He can actually use a help picks onto SOFM to proxy the glitter lens over. And there we go, his first blood as he actually does mention the help picks and the glitter lens to pick up the kill for himself.
And Wei-Tie and Floater were just not around the corner to respond in that one. So very nice early roam from Neolution for Lewis as well, because if you look at it, SOFM did not have the Destiny combo. He simply just walked up to the top lane and then got the kill onto LI4. And this is the whole reason why we see kill a lot more in the mid lane instead of the top one, because of the fact that the lane is so much longer, there is less space for kill to use that heal and to speed up and to try to run away from that one. So great pick coming in from Neolution for Lewis, establishing the first kill for themselves.
Definitely indeed, and it also doesn't really help in Kill's favor that he actually causes her to push out the wave very easily as well, making her a very prime target for ganks as we see Jeff and Violet getting the trade onto Valkyrie and Vera. Damage going back and forth. Violet actually doing the one last poke onto Vera before they decide to disengage from that.
Yeah, that's right. And it's getting more and more glaring with this little bit of miscommunication over here, because if you look at what happened over there, Valkyrie was kind of just staying back and playing a bit more safer, but Vera actually wanted to go in for that trade, so that resulted in a bit of a bad trade that went into the favor to Neolution for Lewis. And Jeff is really stepping up from his gameplay from game number 1 here. If you look at it right now, having a close to 10 CS advantage over Valkyrie, definitely doing much better than his Twitch game from earlier on.
So although the lanes were slightly in favor of Insidious Gaming Rebirth in the early stages, now Neolution Fools have started to turn things around with the gank in the top lane, and Jeff and Violet understanding the matchup better and actually coming out ahead in CS in the bottom lane. Now the only thing that's left for Fulus to catch up in is the mid lane, 39-56, as we see the port coming into the top lane. Divine Intervention has dropped way too early, as now LF4 will be eating out the full damage. Will he go down? One last set of walkouts. Will they be able to find him? Starfall finds the last hit onto him with the glitter lens, and that will be a second kill for himself onto LF4 in the top lane.
Yep, and SOFM just playing that beautifully, knowing for the fact that, with the Destiny Gate combo, he had complete vision on where Wei-Tie and Floater is. So even though they were making their way up to the top lane, it was just too little too late, as, it's one more kill going over to Starfall. Now in the mid lane, Shin has to get the hell out of there, as now Wei-Tie misses the Q actually, and now Shin might be able to turn things around, but Shin still has to be very, very careful though, because Floater still has his ultimate out, but instead he is going to be able to back off as Starfall makes his appearance in the mid lane.
So he's making superior rotations as compared to his counterpart, although neither jungler has really been making much impact, although I have to say that kind of works in the favor of Shin so far with He hasn't really been making the ganks he needs to be making as a Lee Sin.
Yep. I love the fact of how Neolution Fools is just abusing their strengths right now, because they might not be the best team to transit into the mid and late game, but they have a very strong early game, like what we're saying
top
now.
lane. My goodness, another kill onto RF4, as this time SOFM will be the one to get the kill onto him. So 1 kill and 2 assists, that should more than help him even up the 16 CS difference that Floater has managed to accrue over him.
And I wonder what's going through LI4's mind over now, because just 9 minutes in, he is 0, 3, and 0. He is keeping up in CS, however, but it must really feel bad for the opposing team to just camp Hugh outright like that. So I think he's definitely feeling a bit flustered right now, but fear not, he just is going to farm up and try to bring himself back into the game though, so not too bad for him.
Destiny will be coming up in a matter of 30 seconds, and the question is where will SOFM be taking the Destiny gate this time, as Floda is once again trying to push out to the try to put as much cover the entire pressure. Oh, SOFM might find a kill. The wildcard's good, and Floda is able to dodge through from that. Now Waitier's coming around from the side. Will he be able to find a kick onto SOFM? He has the gold card. That's the flash gold card. Wildcards come out, and they will chunk Waitier down.
Yeah, that's a very aggressive play from SOFM actually. There was close to no kill potential onto Waitier, but he just flashed in with the gold card anyways, and just to lay down the message saying, get out of my lane, you don't want to gank my lane, this is what I can do to you, so don't even think about it. And SOFM has a very good game so far, 1-0-2, making the rotations happen and feeding the kills over to Starfall, who is going to be a bit of an annoyance in the mid game.
I have to say, though, definitely plays into his character, being a very flashy player in that case. But we actually see shit.
Nice play on the word there. Yeah, definitely a very flashy player and a very flashy play there.
We actually see Shin moving around into the bottom lane. He actually went for the jungle a bit earlier, but discovered that the Wolf camp was gone earlier. Now we see Violet camping around the side. They might be trying to catch up Waitier here. They have the ward here to spot him out. Waitier has got good jungle sensors though, and he manages to back away from that.
Yep, and actually we do see Floda having a slight CS lead in the mid lane over here, so he's doing pretty well for himself, but what he really needs to do is to step up in terms of rotation. And here comes the Destiny Gate again onto LY4, and the intervention is not going to be enough, I think. Now Starfall knocking him up into the air as well, as now Starfall on the killing spree, 0-4-0 onto LY4 now. And it is going to be NFL's turn to try to push up the top lane turret as Rebirth tries to answer for Dragon, but is it going to be worth it? That top lane turret is taking the siege and under fire from Neolution Full Lewis.
In fact, we actually see Starfall Origin rotating down to the middle lane, and now it's moving up back to the top lane. They know that they have conceded the Dragon objective, and now they're putting pressure onto this top lane. So far, SOFM's Twisted Fate has been making a lot of impact this game.
Yeah, definitely, and the biggest impact is up in the top lane as well. So LY4 is gonna feel very flustered in that one. And it almost turns the attention now onto Rebirth. Should they start to send some reinforcements up in the top lane, knowing for the fact that it has been the area of focus for Neolution Full Lewis so far. For the bottom lane, both teams doing pretty evenly for themselves, with actually Jeff coming out slightly in this one, so he is going to be very happy with that, because he is going to be the hard carry that scales up slightly better than Lucian actually.
Oh, here comes the hook, he finds it onto Jeff, the box is blocked onto it, the flare goes down as well. Here comes Tidal Wave, Waitier coming in from the back, but Shin is here for the case Fear, and Kha'Zix jumps in, but he's kicked away by Waitier. Waitier in a whole lot of trouble now. Father finds the kill onto him. The fireworks would not be able to find any more members, but that's not the end of it. SOFM is coming around from the side. Will he be able to find anyone else? He's got ghosts available to him, and he has already popped it, but he will not be finding any additional kills in this fight.
Very good read from Shin, and that one he anticipated for a fact that Waitier is going to make his move down into the bottom lane, as it was about time that they sent some reinforcements over, but overall it was just Neolution Full Lewis out-rotating the jungler for Rebirth in that one, and that was the reason why they found the kill down that bottom lane and then transited that into the bottom lane turret as well. So Neolution Full Lewis making a very smart 13-minute play in this one, and that is resulting in a 4,000, close to 5,000 gold advantage for Neolution Full Lewis right now, and I'm very sure that they will build on that momentum, as now we see Vera getting caught out.
Oh, the bubble misses really. The counter hook doesn't really find its home. And now Starfall is the one doing lots of damage, actually coming down from the top lane. So LY4 has got a lot of time to farm up in the top lane. But I have to say though, this game, Floda has been playing rather questionably. His ultimate, we haven't seen it a single time at all so far this game. And he hasn't really been making the impact that he needs to be making alongside Waitier, as once again, Destiny Gate will be coming. Will they find Waitier this time? We see the Glitters dropping onto him. He's forced to flash out of there, and he will be getting to safety.
Yeah. And for Rebirth as well, if you think back to the time when they were playing in the promotional tournament, what they kind of remind me of is a much younger and much rawer version of SK Gaming over at EU LCS. Because if you think about it, the early game isn't the best, and we saw in multiple occasions they have somewhat a very subpar Dragon control, and that team really shines in the mid to late game stages whenever they find the laning phase going well for them, and then they get some form of items going in, and then they go for the superior team fight composition. They are a team that you know, abuses their teamwork overall as a whole. But right now in this early game stages, they are struggling a fair bit against Neolution Full Lewis. So if Neolution Full Lewis can continue with this momentum and to smother out Rebirth, there's no way at all ISG Rebirth is gonna bring anyone down on their own side just because of the Nami kills and the wild growth from Lulu as well.
And now Neolution will lose. They will be picking up the mid lane tower very easily as the flow down of Valkyrie are able to clear out the waves as now they continue their pressure onto the mid lane tower, knowing that if they find the correct amount of poke onto the side with this gaming Rebirth, they will be able to pick up objective after objective.
Yeah, that's right, and now Neolution Full Lewis getting all 3 outer turrets out for Rebirth as well, which means that they are going to be able to, you know, bring forward their ward line and then make some more plays happen. As now SYFN getting caught out in a slightly peculiar position, but his teammates is going to be there to back him out.
The go-kart lands onto Farah and he's poking away at the rest of the team with the wildcards. Meanwhile, Starfall is pushing down into top lane, but they should set up a freeze for LY4. But the question is, does LY4 have the time, or can the team afford the pressure if LY4 were to decide to go to the top lane to freeze this up? He only has the Nashor still completed at this point of time. Usually, it's the 3 item kill that people are really afraid of. He's only 1/3 of the way there so far.
I think the other thing that I want to question as well is what is the build that LY4 is going to go for, because when we think back to the last time that he was playing kill, he did rush the Nash's Tooth, but he transited that into a Death Cap and then into the Lich Bane before finishing up the Runan's Hurricane. And I think in this game, in this particular game, he doesn't have the luxury to rush those AP items because it's going to take a much longer time for him to, you know, get those attack speed and then get those wave clear in as well. So he might need to switch up his build just a little bit, just to adapt to the situation.
Oh, 2-man stun. Would they be able to find anyone? We see the Sonic Strike going on to Violet, but they are unable to find a pick just yet. It's still 5-0. Full Lewis so far have had a perfect game against Insidious Gaming Rebirth. No dragons, no turrets lost, as well as no kills given on the side of Insidious Gaming Rebirth just yet.
They are on the journey to a perfect game over here, but I'm not too sure. I feel like Rebirth should be able to catch someone.
There we
like
go,
Violet
that's
right
the
now.
hook. Is that the first kill of the game? And wait here, we'll find it as he presses Q one more time to go in and finally kill Violet to secure Insidious Gaming Rebirth's first kill of the game.
Yeah, but that was a whole bunch of resources just blown onto the support player for Neolution Full Lewis, getting 1 kill, but they are unable to transit that into any form of global objectives at all. So, yeah, sure, they get the kill, but I don't think this is the mark of a comeback just as of yet.
Oh no, Our actually gets caught over here. Shit is going on to him. He pops the Divine Intervention in the case as we now see the Desnegate combo coming in. How many is he going to find? He drops the yellow card onto Valkyrie, stunning him up in that case. But there was the wrong target. Nonetheless, Shin is able to flash over the wall to find another kill for himself. SOFM, that's why Florida on the side though.
Yeah, very big picks from Neolution Full Lewis. We actually saw at the side Shin flashing into the race can and then finally getting the last swipe down to Florida. And at the side as well, Vero was just caught all alone with his hands down at the side, and then he got caught out as well. So Neolution Full Lewis exerting the pressure to smother out Rebirth, taking out 1 more turret for themselves. That's the 5th turret of the game going down for ISG Rebirth just 18 minutes in. So I'm not too sure what is the game plan for Rebirth now. That, you know, they have bleeded out so many turrets on the side. They are going to lose a whole ton of vision. I'm not even sure that Waitier will feel safe going out into his own jungle to take his boss anymore.
Can you feel it, Chris? I can definitely feel the hunger from Venom in this case. Full Lewis, they definitely... I mean, that didn't mean to be any insensitive remark of any sort.
Oh, man.
But nonetheless, what I was talking about was the thirst for glory of Full Lewis. Previously, they did not even make the knockout round after finishing 5th in their group. And now in this case, after seeing both their compatriots, SF5 as well as SAJ do so well the previous split, they definitely want to step up their game as well. What was known to be once upon a time the best team in Vietnam, they've been trying to show off their mistakes, and although the previous game it still shows some symptoms of their bad habits, they definitely know how to bring their fight to their opponents as they are dominating Insidious Gaming Rebirth in this case.
I have to agree for the fact that they have definitely tidied up their games a lot more. And you know, I have no idea what happened during the break. Because in the very first game against SF5, they look kind of lost. They don't exactly know what to do. And in this game, they look much more organized. And they know how to abuse the strengths in the early game to, you know, just make this goal lead happen and just to smother out LY4. And I think that, you know, camping out LY4 is definitely something that they have written down on their notebook, and now they can check that list off.
And 0-4 and 0 that kill is definitely not a happy one, as the next focus of Neolution Full Lewis will be on this bottom turret. It's just gaming. They have found 1 kill so far. Here comes the Destiny Kid, who will be coming. The teleport from Starfall will be coming as well. The gold card will be landed onto Farah. Here comes the fireworks, but Violet will be the one. Bloodthirsty support, 2-1 and 0 so far to pick up the kill for himself.
Oh man, and you know, very good timing with the teleport. And now Shin getting caught out of position over there. We might see Rebirth pick up a kill off of that one. LY4 picks up the revenge kill onto Shin, but it's gonna be Neolution Full Lewis, you know, say you can take the bark, we don't care, we just want to take a turret in exchange. So one more turret bleeding away from ISG. Rebirth over there. Now the only outer turrets are down for Rebirth. 20 minutes in, all 6 outer turrets are out for them. So they have to be playing very defensively from now on. And let's see if Neolution Full Lewis can step up their play here and then go in for inhibitor turret, because that has been the constant struggle that we see Neolution Full Lewis in the last split of the GPL. They might have very good early game, but they struggle when it comes to closing out games. So let's hope that they have tidied up all these little bad habits of theirs and then transit into a very clean game over here.
Well, usually what Neolution Full Lewis throwing habits were to be about 3,000 to 4,000 goal lead, get too comfortable with that, and start to take very risky plays such as tower dives, walking to the opponent's jungle without vision, as well as very careless barons that end up costing them the game. So far, we've only seen a little bit of overextensions on their side, but we haven't seen any of the cross tactical displays that have cost Neolution Full Lewis a lot of their games in the previous splits as well. I mean, not forgetting, they had the terrible fountain dive against Manila Eagles, in which they, I believe they're 12 or 13,000 goal ahead, but at this point in time, they're about 9,000 goal ahead of Insidious Gaming Rebirth. It will be a very hard fight if the Singaporean team wants to make a comeback.
Yeah, that's right. And I think a 9,000 goal, a big part of that is primarily because of SOFM's passive as well, and I think that contributes to a couple of 100 goals over here. But you know, that being said, 9,000 goal is something that Rebirth has no direct answer to so far in this game. And so even if Vera hooks onto someone and forces the fight to happen, they don't necessarily have the items and the firepower to, you know, counter any form of fight that NFL brings to them. So Rebirth definitely caught out in a very peculiar position. What they really need to do now is to make full use of their composition, because if you look at it, they can 100-0 someone very, very easily in this one. So if they can make that happen, they can slowly make the comeback happen. So, you know, we have to wait and see. But right now we have a slight technical difficulty. We will come back to you quickly as soon as possible.
So once again, we are into one of the NFL's legendary pauses in the GPL. But
Oh, this time it's Rebirth though, so.
Oh, it's Rebirth. Yes, it is Florida, who has some connectivity issues, and he definitely needs to connect his game plan together, as he hasn't really been connecting with those crucial skill shots. Neither have we seen him really blow his ultimate to instantly burst down someone, as you see multiple Syndras do.
Yep, that's right. And you know, for Rebirth now, like I was saying, it might have been the caster's curse or just the curse of the new team so far, but right now they are looking to be a bit lost. You know, they don't exactly know how to respond to NFL so far, which is a little surprising for me actually, because I have looked at some of their matches in the promotional tournaments, and they usually, you know, even if they are on the back end, for the most part, they still know how to somewhat respond to it. It might be due to the fact that, you know, they are still adapting to a new roster, and that might have caused some of this team synergy to be out of position so far.
Definitely indeed, and now as SOFM with the Twisted Fate, I have to praise him once again. His Twisted Fate this game has been making lots of impact. He's been bringing the noise to Insidious Gaming Rebirth, ganking LF for time after time after time in the top lane. 1-4-0 on that kill. He only has a Nasha Stoof, a Berserker's Greaves for a little bit more attack speed, as well as a Blasting One in this case. That is in the hyper carry kill that we start to see pick up the Runan's Hurricane, or perhaps a death cap at this period of the game.
Yep, and I think very importantly as well as Jeff and Violet down the bottom lane, they have really, you know, reconsidered their thoughts and, you know, went back to the drawing board, gone with the Cockmore, and Nami in this scenario and doing very, very well for themselves. And we did see those very slight misplays from Valkyrie and Vera as well, because they have some miscommunications in that one. And, so it looks like, Neolution Fuluis, they do have the tools and they do have the kit to bully out the opponents, just like we are very used to seeing them in the earlier split. But they have to close up the game in a very quick fashion, because that has been their constant struggle in the last split.
Well, I think after this game, Insidious Gaming, they definitely want to be thinking about their picks and bans strategy going to the next game. They went for the Lucian and Trash. Usually, they try and prioritize the Lulu pick, and the Lulu on the side of Neolution Fuluis on Starfall has been causing them lots of headache this game with the wild growth and a presence against LA4 in the top lane. Although, yes, Lulu has kind of fallen behind LA4 in CS. We saw Lulu take an early lead in CS as well as getting the kills, those multiple kills, when SOFM would use the Destiny combination up into the top lane to find those ganks as well.
Yeah. So I just want to throw this question over to you, J-Storm. So if you're in a position for ISG Rebirth over here, and let's say theoretically you drop out of this game, so what's going to be your new game plan coming for the future games? Because you are definitely one of the newest players on the blocks. You want to prove your worth, and then to start things off with a loss is probably not the way to go. But it can be somewhat expected as well, because it's your first time playing in a regional stage against the big boys over here. So what do you think is going to be their game plan after this one?
I think first of all, they need to work on their pick and ban phase. That I have a few criticisms of what they have to choose in this situation. The top laner was my initial concern when they locked in the kill. Yes, they went for a scaling option, but I felt the Shyvana will definitely have been more in tune with the rest of the composition, and definitely the Twisted Fate on the side of Neolution Fuluis is exploiting the fact that Kill has continuously pushes out of her lane that makes her very, very vulnerable to such ganks. Second of all, I feel that they need to improve the communication between the jungler and mid laner. They have to make the impact. They need to match the impact that Shin and SOFM is making. Although Shin hasn't really been that impactful this game, Weitia as well as Floda should be taking things into their own hands, especially as Weitia on the least in a very high impact jungler. They need to be visiting those lanes more, setting up for more plays, as well as to find the picks that they need to perhaps secure objectives as well as the dragon. Third of all, I think they need to reassess their decision to continuously go for these superior lanes and battle mechanics ideas, because although they did go for this game, then clearly it hasn't worked out for them this game, because we saw the rotations coming in from SOFM kind of just blew that out of the park. And after that, Jeff and Violet doing well on the bottom lane meant that the plan of having Lucian and Trash, even going for the Doran shield start early on, didn't really work out too well for them. Going for adapting to the new meta, going for those lane swaps and playing to those compositions, especially if you like to play big compositions. You need to understand how to make use of these lane swaps, get the buff timers, and move into your opponent's jungle to find these picks to set up your big composition. That's what's important now in this current meta, and I feel that Insidious Gaming Rebirth, they don't really understand that.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you on that one, because if you think about it, this is a team who knows how the current meta works, and in fact, the Insidious Gaming organization as a whole has been sometimes ahead of the meta curve, because they are the players they have players who have been playing, Trundle top lane before it became popular, or Lulu in the top lane, or even stuff like bringing Morgana support to the competitive scene as well. So they are a team who is not too surprised with how the meta shifts. And I'm actually a little bit surprised at the start when they did go for when they did not go for the lane swap, but instead went for the 1-1-2, and it's kind of biting them in the back now. So they might have to go back to the drawing board and reconsider that strategy. And on your other point, when it comes to rotations as well, I have to say for a fact that it is NFL who is playing very well on this Twisted Fate. He has been seen roaming a lot more as compared to Floda in that one. Even making the roams happen before the Destiny Gate combination, which is a very big gamble for them, but it's certainly something that worked out.
Definitely, when the Twisted Fate walked out the mid, they walked into the top lane, drew the go-kart and threw it down. Although I have to say, in that situation, they didn't really see it coming, because first of all, there were no real wards, and in that scenario, it was a window for Twisted Fate to back and pick up the Crucible for himself. So it could have been Flora communicated to the rest of the team that Twisted Fate SOFM just spaced, and that created a scenario where SOFM could walk up to the top lane, draw the go-kart, and because there were no wards and they thought that he went back to the base instead of going for a roam, LY4 didn't see coming at all.
Yep, so just a quick update on what's going on over here. It seems like Floda had some problems with the computer over here, and I think he's trying to restart his computer so that he can get back into the game as quickly as possible. And you know, like we discussed about it earlier, sometimes it's just something beyond the player's control, and we have to be very patient. And of course, we as the casters are just as excited as the viewers to try to get the game resuming underway as quickly as possible. So we'll keep you updated as that comes along.
I have to say though, for Lewis, they have passed most of their tests in terms of bad symptoms that they have had from previous splits, such as walking into the opponent's jungle with no wards, or things like going for unnecessary, over reckless turret dives onto people who still have multiple summoners up. And then the third one was Baron. Although they have kind of passed the first two tests, the third one, we haven't seen them attempt the Baron just yet. The previous game against Saigon Fantastic 5, the turning point came when they were around the Baron pit, and that was where the major mistake came. Against Insidious Gaming Rebirth, although they have a very large lead in this case, are they going to make the same mistake?
Yep, that's right. So we're still waiting for the issues to be resolved over here, and I just want to call out on, you know, for Neolution Full Lewis as well, because if you think about it, if you think about the spring split, they were in the position that Rebirth was in. They were the team to be expected to make the big plays happen, but unfortunately in the spring split and the winter split as well, it didn't happen. But right now, it feels like they are the team to have finally broken through, you know, tidied up their mistakes after 2 splits of playing, and then now bringing them back into the regional stage.
Okay, from what I've heard, the players are back in the loading screen. There was a little bit of technical difficulties, but now they are in the loading screen, and they should be resuming the game very shortly.
Well, we have been talking for about 10 minutes now, so we're kind of running out of the things to talk about as well. So I'm very glad that we are gonna go back into the game very, very quickly. So let's wait for that to resume. And
there we go.
Oh, there we go. The play is gonna resume now as we finally have the remaining of the game coming your way. As now NFL still continues to push on onto the game, and just look at the amount of you know, aggression when it comes to warding for the side of NFL. So still continuing to, you know, step on the acceleration pedal and to make the ward lines extended.
What I would really like to see NFL adapt into the game plan is to pick up multiple ping wards, pick up more. They already have 4 sweepers on the side of the team, and move into the opponent's jungle aggressively, camera brush, and find a pick when they try to go for a bomb. Actually, we see the tidal wave coming in. Destiny Gasman, but will there be a pot in? And the answer will be no.
Well, it looks like NFL seems a little flustered right after the pause. Well, to be fair, it's a kind of a long pause, but you know, that tidal wave did not achieve anything at all, and the Destiny Gate combination was popped as well, so it is a attempt that kind of just failed off, but now it is going to be Neolution Full starting things off at the Baron pit, so it might just be goal time for Rebirth to try to respond to this one, and Starfall sent on defensive duties over here. Let's see what's going to happen.
Oh, Baron drop extremely low. Is the still good? And the answer is no, as the Kazakh smites it down. Now SOFM will be the first one to go down as Starfall goes on the rampage as he picks up 2 members on him. And meanwhile, Jeff actually picks up a double kill for himself. And that's a triple kill as he picks up a 3rd member in the form of Floda.
Yeah, and now Shin is chasing down onto LY4 as well. Will he get the swipe in? And now LY4 is the one to turn things around as he gets the kill. And we actually are going to get a replay of what actually went down in the process.
Turn around and get the kill. So this is Insidious Gaming's Rebirth's perspective now. They don't know that their opponents are doing a drag. They don't know that their opponents are doing the Baron at this point of time, but they kind of have an idea. They drop the ward in to try to find this field in, but this is Starfall. Very, very good wild growth to knock Wei away, so that he's unable to go in for the smite steal. And although the Insidious Gaming team, they are able to go in for it, finally drops his ultimate onto SOFM to find the kill onto him. This is the triple kill from Jeff as he picks up the Sansa for himself.
The Mandarin characters coming in. And of course, this is the turnaround kill and the ace actually from NFL as now they finish off the mid lane inhibitor as well. So some more aggression laid down from Neolution Flores, and they're performing very solidly in this game as well, you know. So overall, as a whole, just cleaning up the mistakes. 14-3 in terms of kill count, 14,000 advantage in this game, and you know, having the Baron buff up the sleeves as well. And I think this is going to be the start of the ringing bells for the end for Rebirth here.
So the 10,000 gold lead now 14,000 already, and now Neolution Fullness, they have the Baron buff on the side and exposed inhibitor for Insidious Gaming Rebirth. These are usually all the symptoms for a death knell of a team. And now you can hear the bell ringing as Neolution Full Lewis. They will be picking up whatever objectives, whatever buffs, going back to base, picking up the last round of items, perhaps buying some additional blue or red pots before they decide to go onto Insidious Gaming for one last final push.
Yep, and we do see a huge item spike for Jeff as well. He just went back to pick up the Phantom Dancer as well as the Last Whisper. And here comes the gate combo.
Oh, here we go. SOFM teleporting into the solid stuff for comes and turns LA4 into a Munchkin. And once again, the Destiny Gate combo from the start of the game to the end of the game has been picking up LA4 time after time after time. I can say that 6 times actually because it's been 6 times here.
And yeah, definitely the case here. And you know, for LI4, he has just been obliterated in this game. I'm not exactly sure how is he feeling right now because this is his first game in the GPL after so long since his Singapore Standalones days, but NFL has just concocted this strategy, this recipe for disaster over here for Rebirth, and they have been unable to respond to that as well. So here comes the tidal wave.
Oh, recipe for disaster. I like the way you put it as they find 2 kills already with Jeff picking it up. Is he able to find number 3? That's number 3 as SOM picks them themselves. And then Shin jumps in and executes for the 4th kill.
That's right, and now it is going to be I think this is going to be game for NFL as they focus their efforts onto the Nexus turrets here. It's only going to be LI4 who's going to be defending this one. Both Nexus turret has already gone down, and Neolution Full is going to close out the
turret
game
dive. And they do dive the turret, but in this case, they are able to finish the Nexus as Neolution Full will pick up the Nexus and the game for themselves. Congratulations to them. After turning around the loss against Saigon Fantasy 5 earlier today, they show us a very resounding and strong performance, crushing Insidious Gaming Rebirth in the 2nd game of the night.
That's right, so not too bad for themselves. They go 1-1 in the very first week of the GPL. So in the end, you know, ISG Rebirth, unfortunately for them, unable to break through the